John, it's great to have Donte Whitner. Donte Whitner, the Pro Bowler, the 11-year pro, the man who was part of 41 wins for the 49ers in just a 3-year span, the 8th overall pick out of the Ohio State, one of 5 players drafted out of Ohio State in the first round in his draft year, which is crazy. And Donte, we appreciate it, man. Can you still hear 100,000 people in your ear when you close your eyes?
I can. Those were some surreal days being on the field in front of 100,000 plus. There's no NFL venue that can even come close to what it's like to play inside the shoe on Saturdays.
It's funny that, when I think of you, obviously the Niners and, getting drafted really high, but Ohio State is such a defining thing for so many of you guys, and the program is such a dominant program. But when I think of Ohio State, it's guys like you crushing people on defense, even after you Urban Meyer's teams. When you watch, obviously these wide receivers and the quarterback are sweet, but the no defense, a guy like you, are you like, what the hell's going on? Can't we tackle somebody?
Yeah, it makes me cringe. And when I watch it, it's all simple things. It's crack replace on the edge. It's the awareness of the corners. It's leverage. It's lack of pass rush. It's tackling. It's the small things. And when I played at Ohio State, that's what it was all. We were defined by defense. We were defined by doing the little things the right way, and that leads to exceptional success. And that's why the defense has failed. I feel like if the defense would have played just a little bit better, they could have beat Michigan, and they would have been in the Final Four. I didn't feel like Cincinnati would rank well or match up well with Alabama, and they proved me right.
Yeah. I mean, can you get back there in college football right now, or is that era gone? Even Saban stopped trying to, have a defense that averaged like 15 points a game.
Yeah, but it's the basics, and when you teach defense, it's all fundamentals. And yeah, I know that they have the RPO game and a lot of the trick stuff that they have in the league right now, or in college football right now. But it's ways to combat that. It's certain looks that you give the quarterback, especially a lot of these young rookie quarterbacks. If you could just teach your defensive backs underneath coverage, nickel back, and corners how to look a certain way, you can confuse a lot of these quarterbacks. And a lot of the stuff that they're doing at the snap of the ball, where they're looking at the defense, you can have built-in things where you can show them something just because you want them to check into a certain offensive set, formation, or run. So I think that it's the defensive coaches getting a little bit more detailed and a step ahead of the offense, and you can play really good defense.
Well, I got to ask you one more thing about Ohio State. You had a former teammate that tipped me off that you played for Mel Tucker, and I don't know if you saw that viral visual that went out during his bowl game, that when he was a GA at Michigan State, $400 a month, and then under him now in 2021, he's getting, NFL money. He's getting quarterback money, $95 million guaranteed. What was it like for you? Playing for the guy, but seeing him just get that contract had to be pretty cool.
Well, first off, I remember him sitting in my living room in Cleveland, Ohio, in the middle of the ghetto. Him and Coach Tressel just sitting there and trying to get me to come to Ohio State. I remember arriving at Ohio State early as an early recruit and how he took care of me all that first week. And a lot of times, I remember the funny stories that, he would just tell. And it was one story where Ashton Yabodi, I think Ashton was a late first round, second round pick out of Texas, Houston, Texas. And, he didn't want to tackle in spring practice. And he missed a few tackles. And we get back to the meeting room. And the first thing he does when we get in the room is he pulled Ashton up in a tackling drill. He said, "Ashton, if I was to tape an egg to the front of your helmet before practice, it'll still be intact when practice is over. You are soft," right? And then he would always say, if we had a bad game or if we, had a bad practice, he would always say, "You guys are going to have me selling meat out the back of my truck," right? And it's that voice. And Mel Tucker deserves every penny that he's getting. He put the work in. He did it the right way. He preaches fundamentals. He preaches effort. He preaches discipline. He preaches being a good person off the field so it translates to on the field. And that's why he's having the success that he's having. And he's learned from some good ones. Nick Saban, our defensive coordinator, and Mark D'Antonio, who he replaced at Michigan State. These are all people that teach the same thing. They teach the same system, and he's perfected it. And he deserves every penny that he's getting.
Do you do a Vic Fangio meeting impression?
No, Vic just put the dip in his mouth, and he never wanted us to take notes. There's one thing about Vic Fangio that's unorthodox than any other coach is. Every day after practice, I'm sure other teams did it, or we will go in and review the practice for 2 hours after practice. And he never wanted us to take notes. Like there's other people like, get your notebook out, write this down, write that. He would just say this. He would get up in front of the team. In our first defensive meeting, he said, if you listen to me and you remember what I tell you about certain calls, you'll have success in this defense. And every day in that post practice, he would just point out certain things, and they would just happen in the game. So that's one thing about Vic Fangio is he put a lot of work into what he does, and he's really a mastermind at what he does on the defense side of the ball. And it's not just call a blitz, call a defense. He learned from the offensive side of the ball. He learned how to attack different blocking schemes. He learned how the receivers are taught and inside leverage and what the quarterback is taught based on depth and width perception of the safeties and the mannerisms and the footwork of the corners and the depth and the mannerisms of your nickel. So he teaches all of that stuff first to his defense, and then he teaches the defense. So that's why they're always one step ahead. That's why we were always one step ahead with Vic.
Well, I mean, obviously we had a big game this weekend, but it's hard to leave those Harbaugh teams. Early on when you signed as a free agent, that was Jim's first year, right?
Yeah, that was his first year.
Trent Baalke signed you to a contract. You show up, Harbaugh, Vic Fangio. Did you know about those guys well? I mean, obviously Jim Harbaugh. I mean, how did that all go down?
I didn't know anything about him. I initially committed to the Cincinnati Bengals probably 2 hours before Jim Harbaugh called me. And once he called me and said, hey, 49ers want you to come out and be the starting strong safety, I had to weigh my options. Like, do I want to go to Cincinnati, San Francisco? Yeah, San Francisco wasn't winning at the time, but I'm thinking weather. I'm like, okay, San Francisco. I didn't know who the coaches were. I knew who Jim Harbaugh was based on what he did at Stanford. Yeah. But I didn't know if he would have NFL success. I didn't know how his systems would translate. And once I got into San Francisco, we had a bunch of guys, and it was an unknown because we were coming off a lockout year where it was a buyer's market and guys weren't getting the deals that they wanted. Deshaun Golson, he was disgruntled. I had to hold out for a long time. Buffalo wanted to lowball me, and then Cincinnati came late, and then San Francisco came, and Carlos Rogers was dealing with the same thing in Washington. So the way that team was assembled, it was almost by the grace of God and luck. Because if that lockout never happened, guys probably go and take the largest deals, and not just in San Francisco. So we, put that team together. And I didn't think we knew that we were going to win until we played the Dallas Cowboys, who were predicted that year to be one of the top teams, not only in the NFC, but in the entire NFL. And we had them beat. They came back to score a late fourth quarter touchdown. And then they had a big play in overtime where they beat us. And I remember going back and driving home that day. I'm like, man, we might be a good team. So from then on, I think we ran off like 8-9 in a row. We beat the dream team in Philadelphia with Michael Vick and Vince Young and all those guys.
Justin Smith got Jeremy Maclin running away.
Justin Smith, and I remember Navarro Bowman. That was his coming out party with the open field tackle on Michael Vick. So that's when we figured out that we were going to be good. But that team was just assembled by like a grace of luck.
Yeah, I mean, you two safeties and the two linebackers were putting guys in body bags every week. That was a different time in the NFL, man. You guys were cracking skulls, you specifically.
Yeah, I think you can continue to play that way today, but you have to hit in a different manner because I don't see it any differently. I think you just have to lower your target that much more. But any of those hits, when you bring impact and you do it the right way, they hurt. Believe it. And you can still put fear in opponents over the middle of the field. And I think Jaquiski Tartt and Jimmy Ward have been doing that, especially over the last few weeks. If you're watching the game like I watch it, Tartt has been extremely physical. I don't know what's gotten to him. I don't know what kind of gunpowder they're feeding him, but he's awakened in the back end. And Jimmy Ward has always been a physical tackler. So I like that. That's the strength of the 49ers defense. So, yeah, you can still continue to put fear in the middle of the field, but nobody did it like me and Deshaun. Nobody.
John and I were laughing yesterday, the photo of you after you hit Pierre Thomas. Everyone's going for the ball, and you're just walking away. Navarro standing there like, what the hell just happened?
Well, Navarro's looking at a crime scene right there. You know.
Yeah, he's looking at a crime scene, and only thing I can think of when I see this picture is like, damn, I feel fat. Look at my stomach poking out. That's the only thing. But I remember this play. I remember exactly what coverage we were playing. We had like man-to-man underneath. I was supposed to be the inside of the receiver here. So if he took an inside release, inside route, I would double it. The corner would fluff off and help the back coming out. And I remember precisely Vic Fangio telling us that if you allow the New Orleans Saints to score on this first drive of the game in their first 15 plays of the game and they get momentum, then it's probably going to be a loss for us. So we need to do whatever we have to do to keep them out of the end zone. So when Navarro lost them and I got into the inside release and I was free, I was like, shit, here's my opportunity. I didn't know it would turn out like that. I just knew that if I caught him at the right time, I would get a good lick on him. And it just so happened that I caught him just the right way, the ball pop out. And once I saw the ball pop out, I'm like, man, I'll let them clean up the mess. That's why I just walked to the sideline. Like in that moment, I immediately thought, like, I will let them clean it up. I already did the work. So, yeah.
What would you say? You guys played some crazy games, obviously, in your time with the Niners. A couple of them were the losses, right? The Seattle game and the Super Bowl. But the wins, I mean, that frigid cold Green Bay game, or that win specifically, because the historic Alex run, then the Jimmy Graham touchdown. I mean, it was just the last 3 minutes.
Then Vernon Davis.
Yeah.
I remember going to New Orleans and them stealing the game from us with the Ahmad Brooks
late hit.
And it wasn't a late hit. He kind of had Drew Brees around the neck. He forced a fumble. Patrick pick it up. They get the field goal, go off and beat us. I remember the NFC Championship. Was it NFC Championship? No, it might have been a divisional round.
In Atlanta?
New York Giants.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. A candlestick with a rain. It was the NFC Championship.
When Kyle fumbled the 2 punts, Teddy Ginn was out. I remember.
Wasn't Eli like 1 of 10 on third down?
Yeah, we were dominating them on defense.
Kicking their ass.
Drizzle. And then I'm like, oh, man, Teddy's not back there. He fumbled it. They go on to win the game. I remember the NFC Championship versus Matt Ryan, how difficult and tough it was. They had tight ends, they had backs, they had wide receivers. Julio was the top of his game.
Tony Gonzalez was still playing.
Gonzalez, it was difficult to stop them. It came down to the last play. I remember the Super Bowl. I remember us not playing as well as we accustomed to playing on defense, and we really, really blew that game. If we could go back and just have those plays, the plays that we've seen a million times in practice, it seemed like on this day, when everything could go wrong, it just went wrong. Like things that we've done a million times over the previous 2-3 years just went wrong that day. So I remember some of the big moments. I remember a lot of that. Oh, I remember the game when we went to New Orleans and we beat them there when Ahmad Brooks intercepted the pass, ran it back, then Deshaun Golson knocks the receiver out over the middle. I think it was Colston. The ball pops up to me. I run it back. We had some big wins. And then that frigid game, the frigid game versus the Green Bay Packers. On the road, I think it was like minus below zero. Kaepernick and the boys come out with no sleeves on.
You wear sleeves?
I'm like, man, they crazy. I'm like, it's freezing out here. I remember Cap just running all over the Green Bay Packers. I remember how laser locked in and focused he was. It was like on that day when everything was against him, everything was against the team, he put everybody on his shoulders, and he was the reason why we won that game that day. And then I remember going to Gillette Stadium. I remember jumping up and beating up on the New England Patriots. I remember disguising and Aaron Gonzalez, Aaron Hernandez, and all those guys out there running around. I remember we caused like 5 or 6 turnovers in that game. We jumped up on that team 30-something to 6-7. So a lot of the top quarterbacks where we had the greatest memories because we dominated them. Yeah. We pretty much only lost to those guys one time, and it was Drew Brees, the game that they stole. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, none of the top guys, Drew Brees, they didn't beat us. Matt Ryan, none of them beat us.
Well, let's talk about young quarterback in big games, because I think those eras were defined by the defense and the fact that you guys went on the road with a young quarterback. Now, Trey's a rookie. Colin was not a rookie in those years. You got to see Colin as a rookie before anyone else really did. but obviously he developed to some degree while not playing. What do you think of Trey right now? If he ends up in this opportunity that feels like it's not a playoff game like some of those Colin games, but it's a big moment early in his career. Can he win on the road against the Rams?
Deep in my heart, I just know that they're going to play and start Jimmy Garoppolo. They don't have a package for Trey Lance. But deep in my heart, with everything on the line, with the way that Jimmy Garoppolo maneuvered and operated this offense with efficiency the last time, knowing how they have to win this game, I just can't see the 49ers going with Trey Lance in this huge game and this opportunity. I think that with his development, he's still raw. He has all the tools and the capability, but he's still a one-read quarterback. And when I say that, it is when he's not there the first read, he's not comfortable going through his read and just sitting there when he's sitting in the pocket. So if it's not there right now, he's going to end up running around and trying to improvise. Now, when the 49ers last week in the second half, they started to move him outside the pocket. You've seen a lot of boots. You've seen a lot of waggles. You've seen a lot of deep setup in the pocket, and he's starting to get to the point where he's outside the pocket. He's doing a good job with his eyes of moving the underneath coverage and moving guys how he wants to move them. There was a very, very, very impressive throw. I think it might have been in the third quarter when he booted to the left. He had a guy pull him up in his face. He could have threw it to George Kittle right here, the first read, but he threw off his back foot and threw the comeback to the outside number of the receiver. That was impressive.
Yeah.
But with a team like the LA Rams, you don't want a quarterback that's just a first-read quarterback, because now you have Aaron Donald, you have Leonard Floyd, you have Von Miller. You don't have time to be fooling around in the pocket. You don't have time to be trying to run away from these guys because they're going to catch you. So when I look at this game, I'm thinking that Jimmy Garoppolo has to be the man. It's a formula to beating the LA Rams. And I think that Trey Lance for next season, yeah, you can give him that. But this big game here, I think it goes to Jimmy Garoppolo.
See, I'm a little surprised. I saw you a couple weeks ago after the Tennessee game being hard on Jimmy, but then hearing you talk after watching that game, I hear the Mel Tucker, the Vic Fangio in you watching Trey, knowing this game, knowing that I don't know if that's going to translate. Is that fair?
Yeah.
He's just too raw to put in this situation. If Jimmy's able to go, he could get overwhelmed.
Yeah, he can get overwhelmed, and you need efficiency, and they're going to come after him. You don't want to put him in that high-pressure situation. There were multiple balls last week versus the Houston Texans. And we're not talking about the Baltimore Ravens. We're not talking about some middle-of-the-pack defense. We're talking about a team that's basically 32nd in every statistical category, and he just mustered to get some yards in the second half. Off of a play where the corner on the backside was really supposed to just go straight back and take away the Deebo Samuel route, and we're never even talking about this right now. So things like that, so this team right here, this defense that they have over there, they have a lot of guys that are highly skilled at what they do. Their defensive backs don't give up a lot of yards. They don't give up a lot of yards after the catch. They get consistent pressure up front. So I don't think this is a game where you can fool around with a guy that, is pretty unproven, and I don't really trust him versus this defense in a high-pressure situation. Jimmy's been here before. Jimmy is efficient. His game goes well with what the LA Rams want to do on defense. I don't think you put the season on the shoulder of Trey Lance.
So what happens if Jimmy can't play? Then how does it have to look?
I think you got to get up about that. You got to play complementary football first and foremost. You know that when the LA Rams turn the ball over early, they lose the game. They typically lose. When they lost to the Tennessee Titans, when they lost to the 49ers before, when they lost to, it's another loss in there that they had when they turned the ball over multiple times, Green Bay. When they turn the ball over early, when they can't, when the opposing offense.
The Niners, they turn the ball over early.
Turn it over. When the opposing offense has ball control, which means that you can put together some long drives, you can get some screens, you get some wide receiver screens, you're great on third down, that's when they lose. So I think that if Trey Lance is out there, it's still run first offense. You still have to get up somewhere around the 40 carry mark.
So do you think they can beat him with Trey Lance?
I don't think they can beat him with Trey Lance. I really don't. When I see and I watch the film, I think there was some phenomenal throws that he made, the slant to Deebo Samuel. And what he did in that play as a cover three, he's supposed to look to the right, to move Christian Kirksey, the middle linebacker, come back, trust that he's going to be open in that hole. He did those things. But with a defense that's as versed and been together as long as the LA Rams, I don't trust him. I don't trust his timing.
You'd be licking your lips playing a guy like Trey Lance. In his
Yeah,
third
you'd be
career start.
licking your lips, and basically because he showed it with the interception that he threw. That's really a trick play. That's called a wide shallow. And when I say wide shallow, is whoever's in that near tight end position, when you fake the run and you boot out, they're just going to sift down the line of scrimmage and come out the backside and hope that the backside defender, whether it's a linebacker or a safety, somebody fell asleep and they ran front side,
Wide
thinking
open.
at the quarterback, so he's going to be wide open. They tried to give him a gimme, and he still didn't read it properly. It was just a corner two cover sitting there, saw him leaking out, and there was no reason why he should have threw that ball. You should have checked it down to Kyle Juszczyk in front of you, or you even take a shot to Deebo Samuel because the inside safety to the front side is just sitting on the route. Other than that, you don't throw that football. So that's why I say I don't trust him in that situation. It's going to be a high-pressure situation in LA. That defense is going to be juiced up. They got a lot to play for. The 49ers basically embarrassed them the last time they played, and the last 5 times they played them. So I think this is a game where if Jimmy can go, he has to be out there.
What do you see with him as a runner? I mean, one of the things I think that probably helped Colin early, right, was he was so dangerous with his legs. Trey looks a little uncomfortable at times.
He looks hesitant.
Yeah, what do you make of it?
He looks hesitant. It showed me that on that 4th and 1 when they tried to go to that quick pitch. Like, you have to influence the defensive end first. They teach you that in Little League football. It was a 4th and 1 where he's supposed to get the ball, go down the line of scrimmage. You have a linebacker there. He has to choose who he's going to take, you or the guy you're going to pitch it to. You pitch it so early, he gets to run down the line of scrimmage and make a play on 4th down. That tells me that he doesn't necessarily want to run the ball. Put Lamar Jackson in that situation. He doesn't want to pitch it. He's going to run down the line of scrimmage. He's going to fake pitch it, and he's going to be running up the sideline. That shows me that he doesn't want to run the ball. There was another one where he tried to do the RPO and get outside to the left, and he took a big hit from the safety, right? You're not trying to put a move on a guy. It looked like me. You're just bracing like a running back that's inside the tackles. That's where, you have to be elusive outside the pocket. So I don't think teams are fearing him in the open field right now. Like a guy like Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, guys that are really trying to run the ball, those are the guys that you have to fear.
Do you think it's because he comes from a small school? So he's not – everything is just – he's overwhelmed by the speed of everyone right now? Or is it just every player is different? Like you played with guys at Ohio State that were overwhelmed when they get to the NFL. It's not necessarily
It could be
a school
that.
thing.
It could be that, and then the speed of the game. When I came in from Ohio State, it was really fast. And you remember he had all the previous year off. I think he only played, 1 game?
Yeah, didn't even count.
So the game is going extremely fast for him. So that could be it. And he'll get better as time goes on. But right now, he's not really a threat in the running game in my eyes.
So, you mentioned the safeties you think are playing really good football right now. What about the situation with the cornerbacks? Can the 49ers win with what's been a little instability? I don't know how you feel about if Ambry Thomas has been playing better or not lately, but can the Niners survive with the cornerback situation?
I think Ambry Thomas has been playing better. Going back and watching the All-22, when you go back to the Cincinnati game, he got beat on a sluggo, slant and go. Just not knowing where his underneath help was, not staying top shoulder. You really don't even break on that route. You got K'Wan Williams and all these underneath guys under there if they want to run the slant. You just got 2 routes you have to worry about in that. It's the go route and the out route, and that's it. So the next game they came back versus Atlanta, they put Kyle Pitts out there. Same defense. He made an improvement. Almost nearly had an interception on the sideline. Should have went up and plucked the ball, waited for it to come down. Kyle Pitts almost stripped it for him. And even if you watch the plays that he gave up in the touchdowns, he's in position where his hand is on the ball. He's just lacking aggressiveness. He has to be more aggressive at the point of attack. And all defensive back coaches will tell you, no matter if you're beat on the route, no matter if you're out of phase, which means you're trailing a wide receiver, or you're in phase, which means your right shoulder is in front, you get an opportunity to look back. At the point of attack, you have to be strong. When the receiver's hands go to the football, you have to be as aggressive as the receiver or more. You have to exceed his aggressiveness. That's the only thing he's missing. And at the line of scrimmage, you get up there and press for a reason. There's no need to get up there and be soft. If you're going to get your hands on a guy's breastplate, how about you push him out of bounds? How about you really disrupt the route to where the quarterback really don't even want to throw the ball over there? So he has all the tools and the capabilities. It's about understanding where's my help, where's my leverage, being physical at the line of scrimmage, and the point of attack. And if you go back and look at even some of the balls he broke up, even against A.J. Brown and all of those balls, he was in position when the quarterback Tannehill broke outside the pocket. You're on top of the route. Be strong. Don't even let him give you that little nudge in your back. First of all, you should be outside the receiver top shoulder, not inside. He's not throwing the ball to you. So it starts with technique and knowing where you're supposed to be, but he's there. It's not like he's just getting beat so bad. It's like he's there. It's just about that 1% and finishing the route. He should have had another interception for a touchdown last week where the quarterback made the wrong read. They were in cover 2. Whenever you have a rolled up corner within 4 yards getting a jam on the receiver, you don't throw the ball there. He made the wrong read. It kind of surprised him, but that goes down as a PBU, but it could have went down as a great play, could have ran it back for 6. So I'm seeing improvements from him. On the other side, I'm thinking Josh Norman shouldn't touch the field. Too many mistakes. And all of it is his eyes, staring at the quarterback, understanding leverage, not staying top shoulder. Now you're getting yourself in trouble. You're trailing the route now. Now you're grabbing. He's always had a problem with grabbing. So I don't think that he deserves to
He's not fast.
He's not fast. So you have to be technique sound. You have to understand down and distance. You have to read formations. You have to watch film. Not like you're watching film. A lot of these routes, I can tell you they're coming. They beat you on the same route all the time. It's down the field, stutter to the outside, getting you to stop your feet, and then hit you on the inside, you grab. Probably 8 times this year. He had the same route. Like, when are you going to fix it? We understand it's a copycat league, but how about you just make them throw the out and you play the post? How about that? Let's try that this week. When we're playing this coverage, you run to where they've been beating you and make them run the out. Yeah. That's how you got to teach them. Like, I don't care if you give up the out this week. Just run to the post. Can you do that for me? That's it. We'll work on breaking on the out later. So that's how I think of it when I think about him. And then I think Emmanuel Mosley, I think he's supposed to return. Yeah. I think that he's supposed to return. He's coming off an ankle injury. It'd be good to get him back. He's playing phenomenal before he went out with the injury. And then when you look at the inside guys, you have K'Wan Williams. I like to see him play better. They were a little more aggressive last week in the run defense, blitzing him. But I like to see him be better in underneath zone coverages. There's some things I know that he knows about combinations where he should be that he's been lacking in underneath zone coverage. And that's for everybody. And that's going to be very important this week. You have Cooper Kupp. Most of his routes come between 0 and 9 yards. In between the center, in between the tackles, that's where he's getting the ball. If you don't know that, then you shouldn't be out there. He's going to run the over route in cover 3. He's going to be matched up with Fred Warner, right? And man-to-man coverage, they're going to have Jimmy Ward on him. It's about winning those matchups. That's what it all boils down to. So I think the 49ers, they'll be okay, get these guys off the COVID list. They match up really well with the Rams.
We'll talk about Fred, that route last week that he gave up the touchdown. What happened?
Well, that wasn't his fault. That was a lack of awareness from Jaquaski Tartt. So what he was doing, you got 3 receivers over there, and they're teaching Jaquaski Tartt to play in between the receiver, who has an obvious matchup advantage over Fred Warner, and you have a tight end right here matched up with K'Wan Williams. Now, if I'm a safety, I'm thinking, who am I going to lean towards? Am I going to lean towards K'Wan Williams in the tight end or their best receiver in Fred Warner? Light bulb got to go off. Okay, I'm going to tell Fred to stay inside of the receiver. Don't let him cross your face. And I'm going to stay on top. I'm locking you, K'Wan Williams, man to man. So when you watch that play, you see Tartt drifting over to the tight end, and you got K'Wan Williams in perfect position. That's on the safety there. It's a true advantage for the receiver, Brandon Cooks over Fred Warner. So I put that on the safety.
Okay. On your Harbaugh teams, obviously we think, the offense, Kaepernick running around, defense is incredible, Jim being a rock star. But the football people know your special teams was unreal because Bowman, Willis, all the good players played on special teams. When you watch this team play on special teams, what comes to mind?
I don't think they have enough guys that really take pride in what they do. We had a lot of guys that took pride in going out there and busting up wedges or put pride in being the guy that made the tackle or the first one down the field to touch the paint of the end zone. A lot of times I don't even see the guys finish through the end zone. That shows me that they're trying to conserve energy. Like when we had guys, they trying to run down there and make the best play possible to put the team in the best position. And that's what it takes on special teams. It takes a tremendous effort and heart. That's it. So when you lack special teams production, it tells me that you lack those type of high motor guys. And that's what they have. They have the guys in the room to do it. They just haven't been doing it. And special teams in the playoffs and big games like they're going to play this weekend, key.
Big time.
You know, I think anyone that's listened, maybe at the end of this conversation, people have heard you or watched you on TV on NBC Sports Bay Area. You have a very simple way of communicating. Will you be joining Jim Harbaugh's staff on the Las Vegas Raiders? What do you think?
He going to the Las Vegas Raiders?
Well, I don't know. What do you think? Would it work? Do you think he should be back in the NFL?
I think it could work. I think that get some DBs coached up, get them in the right position, teach them all the small nuances of the game. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Ohio State or something. They need it. My guy Brian Hartline is doing an awesome job out there.
Hell yeah.
The first round picks that he's sending out, the wide receivers, and then you seen the young kid in the Rose Bowl,
Marvin
record.
Yeah, Jackson
I
Smith.
can't really say his name. Jackson Smith. What is it? Najiba?
11. I just call him 11.
He had 346 yards.
And he looked like he was just having so much fun. It was like practice. When I watched him playing, it was like I would watch guys like Santonio Holmes and Ted and these guys in practice, and it's like so much easier and fluid in practice. That's how he looked in that game. He looked like he was just in practice. He knew that he was about to tear him a new one.
You were there as a player, but I mean, I guess toward the end, I guess they had one more year after you left to go to Cleveland, but the Baalke Harbaugh situation, was that ever something? Because even Baalke right now, I mean, you see his name, like people are like, no one's going to want to work for him in Jacksonville. Like, did you have interactions? Obviously, you signed a contract.
Yeah, I had interactions, but he was just, I went there for Jim Harbaugh and the guys that I knew they had, like Patrick Willis and guys that we could build around. I didn't really go there for Trent Baalke. I had limited interaction with him, and it was more so Harbaugh's thing. It wasn't Trent Baalke. The guys that signed there didn't sign there for Trent Baalke. The guys that played the way that they played didn't play that way because Trent Baalke was in the building. Trent Baalke would try to come out and give guys tips on the field. Do you think guys took his advice? Absolutely not. I think Jimmy Ward spoke about that. I remember him coming out there and trying to tell guys about techniques. Like, man, if you don't get out of here. So when I look back at those days, I think that the 49ers probably feel like they made a mistake, probably. And that they probably should have just stuck with Harbaugh and got Baalke out of the building. But hindsight is 20/20. And, his tactics weren't always the best, or, everybody didn't always adhere to the tactics, but he won. And, his tactics worked. And, that's why he's having the success at Michigan. That's why he had the success at Stanford. And that's why he had the success for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, it's a common denominator there. So I would think that it was Jim Harbaugh. And I can speak for a lot of the players, and they'll tell you that, nah, they didn't really mess up. They didn't really fool with Trent Baalke like that.
Dante, it's been awesome talking to you, man. We've enjoyed your work on TV. We appreciate you making time on a busy week. Thank you. And
Thank you.
It's great to see you.
Thank you. You guys have a good one. Happy New Year.